Hello and welcome to a new episode of Other Record Labels, where we talk about the art and culture of running an independent record label. I'm your host, Scott Orr, and this is a super exciting episode because today we're talking and we're launching our new Patreon. It's something that I was kind of encouraged to do. I was hesitant to do for the last couple of years, but it's exciting. It's happening now. As I'm talking, and please stick with me here, but as I'm talking, please go to otherrecordlabels.com/Patreon, where you can find out more about it. Otherrecordlabels.com/Patreon. Patreon spelled Patreon. I want to thank you, first of all, for being a listener. The show's been going on now for almost 4 years, 3.5 years, and our listeners continue to go up and up. The amount of downloads that we get, I mean, we've had over 150,000 downloads, and there's thousands of people who tune in every week, which blows my mind for such a small niche topic. So thank you so much for listening. Other Record Labels is three things, and this has happened naturally over the past 3 years as these interviews and some of the quick tip episodes have occurred. Here's what I feel like everything's been boiled down to: equipping record labels with the resources that we have on our website, educating people with the stuff they learn from our courses or from our interviews, and then most importantly, encouraging, listening to labels you admire and finding out that they struggle or they get excited about the same things that you struggle or get excited with at your label. That can be encouraging for all of us. And I hear from you guys weekly and sometimes it's daily. I get to hear from you. So I know that we're doing the right thing. I know this is working. And this community that's come out of just a simple podcast has been so exciting. Here's what Patreon will enable us to do. Two things. Number one, most importantly, it'll help us maintain and continue doing these episodes indefinitely. And I think we've been at almost 2 years now without missing a week. There are weekly episodes nonstop. And that's my goal, is to continue with the episodes. And number two is to create more resources. As you know, on our website, we have nonstop resources that are free, that are available to everyone to download. Even people who aren't listeners to the show will just pass by and grab a template or grab a checklist or our toolkit. And our toolkit is downloaded 25 to 30 times a day, and that's just the toolkit. And all of our other resources are downloaded a ton as well. So it's incredible that these resources are helping people. And so Patreon will allow me to create more resources. For example, we hired a lawyer recently to draft up a sample recording contract that our community could download for free and to use with their label or to use as a starting point for their label. And so Patreon will allow us to do more of those things. There's also a big potential too. There's an opportunity. It's kind of like this X factor of who knows what can happen as our Patreon grows. But I feel like there's an opportunity for us to support labels in a bigger way. And this is totally far out there, but my dream, and I don't know if we'll ever see this happen, but my dream is to be able to offer more to our record labels, something really substantial, maybe even a grant. Maybe it's a quarterly or a yearly grant where we have a committee that picks a deserving record label to receive a grant. Or maybe it's just something as simple as a couple times a year, other record labels can sponsor a vinyl pressing and contribute to that. Or we team up with a pressing plant and pay for a label's pressing that year. I want to be able to do things, not just our resources and our interviews, but to be able to do some big tangible things for our record labels and for the music community as a whole that can really help labels thrive and survive. Please check out otherrecordlabels.com/Patreon, or if you go straight to patreon.com/otherrecordlabels. There are some really cool things. I spent a lot of time. I spent this summer thinking about what the perks would be. And so number one is we have some extended interviews. So all of our interviews moving forward now will have an extra question and some more chat at the end, as well as a cool little trivia game called, now that's what I call trivia. It's super funny. And so that will be on every interview episode. There'll be an extended interview that's uploaded to Patreon, and you can get that directly to your, however you get your podcasts. It'll be fed to you exclusively. There's also a new monthly series called Artists on Labels. And what we're doing is each month we're talking with a different musician or artist or band, and we don't do that on the show. We usually talk with industry folks or record label folks. But this time we're talking with bands and artists to find out their perspectives on record labels, what record labels they admired growing up, what record labels they enjoy, and how record labels can best support artists. And so we get to hear directly from the artists, and that's an exclusive series just for our patrons. We're also going to be, there's a members only area, and so you're going to get advanced episodes sometimes, some details on future guests. And then, of course, we have some discounts for our patrons, and some merch is also available. I really hope you consider supporting the podcast. I mean, you're a listener already, so that's huge, and I really appreciate it. Go to otherrecordlabels.com/Patreon, and thank you so much for being a listener.